Welcome to No Strings Attached Street Ministry. Today, we're going to talk about heat. Living in the van is most challenging in many different ways, but the biggest thing that they have problems with is the heat. A lot of people that travel around, especially the northern ones, all have to deal with heat. When you're in Florida, not so much. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot in Florida to knock the chill off. But there's many different options out there to deal with heat. A lot of the van people are going to this heater. This is what they call the Big Buddy. They've got the Big Buddy with the 2 burners, as you can see on this one. Then they have the regular Buddy. Then they have the Mini Buddy, which is a round one. It's all different BTU ratings is what they are, to handle those. This one here is probably a little on the excessive side for, just a van. This one here will actually literally cook you out of there in no time flat. This is, of course, an 18,000 BTU on high, and it's using both burners. Minimum on this, I believe, is 4,000. Yep, 4,000 minimum. Is the heat, so that's only on low on one side. The other one, I believe, is like 3,200 BTUs, which still does fine, believe it or not. I mean, I've seen a lot of people use them. I've never tested one of them, so I don't know for sure. I did have one of the little Coleman round ones at one time, and it did fairly well too. I used it in a tent when I used to do tent camping many years ago, and that actually worked pretty well even in a tent. This one here, what I liked about it is it has a blower on it. There's a switch on the back that actually has, you turn it on, and there's actually will blow the heat out into the van. Give you an example. I was up in Indiana, was it last winter, and it was in the zero. Temperature was around zero. The very first night that I got there, it actually snowed a foot. And the van was covered in snow. I mean, it was pretty much snowed in, pretty much. But I ran this heater here on its lowest setting all night long and had the windows down over halfway. It was almost 8 inches down on both sides, the driver and the passenger side front window. And this set up in between the seats on a stand that I had up there. And it just blowed up to the curtains, and I had the curtains closing up to the edge about this far from the edge, and nothing above it so it would catch a fire. But this one here on low, even on low, it would have that much airflow inside the van and it would run you out. I mean, I literally slept in shorts. I mean, that's how hot it was inside that van. It kept below, way above 80 degrees. And but I just wanted to, to see if it would work. But I was always concerned about the carbon monoxide. Now that I've had it for a few years and used it and played with it, it's not as critical. I don't feel, because they do have the shut-off in it. I now have the carbon monoxide detectors in the van. I got 2 of them in the van. So it's going to protect it. If it gets knocked over, bumped, something drops on it or whatever, it automatically detects that and it kicks off. So it does really, really well. To start this one here, you push down and hold on this button, hold it down, and click it over to pilot. Until this little light down here on the bottom. There's a little flame right here at the bottom you'll see start up, and there it is. And give it just about 20 seconds or so. Then you can release that. And it says when you turn this on to turn it up on high first and let it get heated up. And now I'll let that run there and you can see how that will heat up. Now it uses, this one here has 2 of these little bottles, the little green propane bottles. It lasts, if I can remember, it seemed like it would last about, I want to say about 6 hours or so on high. So it would do really well. But it got pretty expensive. You know, you figure even if you used it just overnight, it's going to cost you, basically $10 a day, for propane. And now they've got you can get the hose that adapts into the regulator on here, and it goes over to a big bottle, and there's a filter that goes in there. And believe me, you do need a filter. If not, it will mess up this regulator inside here. So my recommendations is to use the regulator and the little filter that comes with it. Some people say you don't need it. Some people say you do need it. I believe you do. I've never had any problems. A lot of people that don't use the filters will get maybe a year out of these things before they end up messing well. It's worth the filter. I mean, I've had the same filter since I've owned the machine, and it's worked just fine. So definitely get the filter. A lot of places that sell these will have all the accessories as well, and plus you can order through Amazon or online. Many places online. This is what they call the buddy heater. This is the big buddy. Then I was concerned because I was at my cousin's house, and I could plug in there. So then I went out to the store the next day and I bought one of these. It was at Walmart. Cheap little heater. What is this? I think it's 1200. This one here is 1500 watt heater. And this little guy here did extremely well. Now the windows were only down about 1/2 inch on each side. That's the only reason, because I left them down and forgot about it. And I set it up basically the same way on a little platform in between the seats, pulled the curtains over to the edge, or close to the edge. This one here has a fan, and also it has a temperature control where it would turn on and off. As the temperature reached the temperature, it would turn it off, and then it would kick back on when it got cold. And I had it about halfway, and believe it or not, this one here kept the van about 80 degrees as well. It did extremely well. And I'm talking at 0 degrees outside. All I have is a conversion van, so it has no insulation, full of glass everywhere. So it's really a really good option if you're going to boondock somewhere. I also run this off of a generator. I've got a 2200 watt Ryobi generator, which I've had now for 6 years, going on 6 years. I bought it right after I got the van. So it's ran extremely well. I do take extremely good care of the generator. And it is very powerful, and it will also run this with no problem at all, and still run my rest of my stuff in the van. So also it will run about 4 hours on my battery bank, but it's a major draw, major draw. So it will suck the life right out of your batteries, trust me. I mean, you got to have a big battery bank to even attempt to use this. So this is not a good ideal, but it's a cheap ideal if you're parked at a like a campground or somewhere where you have power access. Like this here is just a natural, it's just a city park, and they do have power outlets on here, but you can't boondock overnight here. But it would be nice that you could run a cord over to that. So if you can find somewhere like that, go on and try to use those or utilize them. But I use my generator, and I can run my generator pulling this thing here. It will last about 7 hours on about 3/4 of a tank of gas, or it's one tank of their tank of gas, which is about just over half of a gallon. So for a full gallon of gas, I found that I can actually run my generator for about 24 hours, 23 to 24 hours. And during hurricane this last year down in Florida, I had it running. We lost power in the house, my actual house, and that little generator kept the refrigerator going, lights, and a bunch of stuff in the house. Batteries charged up, everything else, and it lasted non-stop for about 8 days on a 6-gallon boat gas tank. So it did extremely well. If you figure that, so it really paid off. I think that's the cheapest way to do that. Never had a chance to run a full bottle of the big bottles off of this, with this, but I would assume that it would probably last you about probably at least half a month. you know, if you tried to run this off of it. So they are pretty efficient. And there's many other options. I'm even trying to think about putting something together as a test. I'm sort of a gadget type guy and try to, you know, like an inventor mind, you could say. And I've always wondered, well, why can't people use, you know, floor heat like they do in regular homes, you know, the radiant heat, and just use propane to heat that water. So I'm thinking about the instant hot water propane heater hooked into a radiant subfloor, and then maybe top that floor off with like a mass, maybe like a concrete board or something like that, you know, they use in showers, just to put it down as a sub base, and to be able to use that to heat up and hold that heat in the van. So that's an ideal that I can do. I'm also electrician and a mechanical contractor, so I understand a lot about, you know, the different things. So I think I can hook it up to you know, thermostats, and, you know, just have it coming on and off and be able to do it. I just need to get the equipment and the supplies to actually make that happen. But there is different ways to heat this. Now what I use is a window air conditioner that I have mounted inside the back window of my van. It's a 6800 BTU, which cools the van in the middle of the heat to about, I've been in temperatures up to about 98 degrees this year, and it's kept it stored in 60, 65, 70 degrees easy, no problem at all in the hottest and the most humid days. The heat that's on that is also a heat system as well, and it's a 1280 watt heater in that, and it does extremely well. And of course mine it shuts on and off as it reaches its temperature and stuff, so that's what I use now, and I run it right off of my generator. And also I have a battery backup for nighttime use when I'm sleeping. But that's just a few ideals, guys, on the way heat is. But all I can say is maybe try a blanket. Lots of blankets. They even got the little 12-volt heated blankets that you can buy. So there is different other options out there. Just that's things that I haven't tried, so I can't really recommend something that I haven't used. But these is what I've used in the past and had a great success with. So good luck to you, and stay warm. Thanks for showing up.